you
Lucy.
for joining us for this episode of Piping Hot, where we break big topics down into bite-sized conversations. I'm Theresa Fuchs-Santiago. I'm here with Lucy Reynolds. We're both executive career and leadership coaches supporting individuals and organizations. And we decided to keep our intros really short. We want to get to the heart of the matter. And but please feel free to check us out on LinkedIn or connect with us here directly. Now, we're here to unpack a topic that many professionals are familiar with and actually wrestle with, and that is the topic of career gaps. And it's not just a gap, but really the shame that so many of us feel around them. And Lucy and my goal today is to change the narrative.
Yeah.
I want to help you see how a gap is not something to hide. It's actually something that can add depth and strength to your career story. So with that said, gaps
Well, first of all, let me jump in and say, Theresa, I am so excited to do this with you. And you guys should know that we have had one or two little planning sessions, and this is so timely. We know that you all are out there. We know that a lot is going on in the workplace, in the marketplace, in our world, and to have the added pressure of everything around what's the stability of my company, or I'm facing something really challenging. What if I have to take a break? And so this is why we feel that this Piping Hot is so important to bring to you all, and we are here for it. We're here to support you. So why is this like this pause, like I got laid off, I am part of a riff? What is it? Well, let's just say what it is. You feel shame. There's shame placed upon you for having something happen to you that is completely out of your control. And so we want to just name that, like the experience is shame. Why are we feeling that? Well, we believe that in our culture, productivity is prize. The more we're doing, if I hear a client say, oh, I'm so busy, I'm too busy, I'm slammed, work has me so slammed, we know that that's almost a badge of honor. That's like our, productivity equals my self-worth. Like, how much am I outputting? And that's not really where this is at. Like, if you have to take a pause, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm falling behind. What if my resume or my CV sees that there's a gap? Now, what am I going to do? They're going to think that, there's something wrong with me. And this is not the case. The shame is cultural. Let me say that again. The shame is cultural. It is not personal. So we want you to know that you have a decision and a choice to get it back into control, that you get to define what is the pause and what are you going to do with it. Any thoughts on that, Theresa?
Yeah, as you're talking about that, I mean, obviously it's so true, right? We mistake busyness for value, and that's where so many of us get stuck. But at the same time, I was also thinking how there's very different perspectives on career gaps.
Absolutely.
You and
I are both multinationals. I had the privilege of working overseas in 3 different countries. You're Austrian, is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah, living in New York City. And I bet you have a really interesting lens on how do Europeans view a gap? Please share with us.
Absolutely. Look, I think in the US, a career break and gap has a stigma attached. And that's what we're feeling, right? That's the weight of the shame on our shoulders.
Yes.
Yeah. In Europe, gaps and sabbaticals are treated very differently. It's normalized. Even though I've lived in New York for so many years, I've continuously worked with European brand clients. And so I've seen how gaps are treated differently in different cultures. I mean, anybody who's ever worked in luxury and fashion, don't try and call a factory or European headquarter in the month of August.
No way.
Closed, and that's normal. So
yeah, I remember when we first moved to Holland, and we moved like August 5th, and I was going to get so much done getting my family set up to be expats. And literally every store, one storefront owner literally wrote on a Post-it note, be back September 1st, and like stuck it on the door, like I think as they were like locking it up, right? There's just nothing going on. It's almost a pride of how much time they're taking off for self-care and to recharge and to honor their values. Yeah. So tell us more about like what have you noticed in the US around time off? Yeah, you're laughing.
Yeah, no, it's completely different. Again, right? The busier we are, the more valuable it feels, and the more important we seem. So it's just a really different experience. But I think when you look at Europe, again, also how they treat parental leave. You know, in some countries you can be gone for up to a year. The way sabbaticals are encouraged and supported differently. It's just a completely different lens. And so I think what that shows us, right, when you compare the European approach to the US approach, is that the gap itself isn't the issue, right? Yes. It's the story we attach to it.
Exactly. And what we're going to also name here in the space is that, some of those choices to take a pause are ours. We are empowering ourselves to do it. Sometimes the pause comes and it's forced upon us. And we'll just name some of the gaps that we know some of you are experiencing. Of course, there's the reduction in force, the layoffs that are happening. Sometimes it's your own health that takes you out of the game. Sometimes it's the health of a parent or a child. So there's lots of things that are going on that are forcing you to say, hey, either raise your hand like, I need to take a pause, or the organization is like, we need to reduce our force. So what are we going to do around those that come unexpectedly to us? That's what we want to help you with today, because we can plan for the other ones are actually kind of fun and we're empowered and we're emboldened to do those. But when they happen to us at a whiplash, we want you to actually maintain control and be in the power of how do you want to reshape or narrate that time away. So what do you want to do about that, Theresa? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's really about taking power back, right? But also to think about gap, whether it's voluntary or not, to think of this gap as space. And when we have space, there's room for us to grow.
I love that. We have an expression at the Murmuration Collective. It's like we are slowing our clients down to pause to gain clarity. And I know that you and I have talked about that. I mean, basically, our whole coaching practices, y'all, if you come and work with us, believe it or not, you are paying us to slow your roll. And it's in the slowing you down where you will find these nuggets of just wisdom that are waiting for you to discover. Because you've gotten the cortisol out of your prefrontal cortex and you've got the good juju juice and the neuroscience is there. It's proven that you can actually create from this space of pausing. And if we own it in a really good way, really amazing things can happen. What else?
Actually, sorry, that makes me think of a couple of clients that I had, right? We said we can create that, use that creativity in that space too. And, I've worked with them. They thought they were ready to get back into the workforce. And through the coaching, they actually realized that, you know what? There's this business idea that I've had in the very back of my mind, and I've been keeping to myself, and I've been just dreaming about, but I never had the guts to follow. And together we actually discovered that now this break, it's the perfect moment to launch that business and bring that idea to life. So it's been fascinating to see what can become when we really start owning that gap and that space.
One of the things that we do during this time, if you can actually reconfigure in your mind that the pause is an opportunity to further articulate you to yourself first, you have to actually be able to say, what are my core strengths? What skills do I prefer to do, not just have to do, but want to do on the daily? What are my current values, right? I mean, because my values are different today than they were 3 years ago. I'm now an empty nester, or as I like to say, a bird launcher. I have more freedom. So my values back then are different. What's here now? And how do I want to take this pause and realign? And then, a lot of you are in marketing. How do you want to market and position yourself? One of the things we want you to do is not apologize for this gap, but actually just own it and rebrand and present yourself to the world with clarity and kindness and power, right?
Yeah. And like, as you said, I think so many people come and say, how do I excuse this gap away? Yeah. Right? When all we need to do is just position it in a powerful way that gives us the power and the confidence back that we've lost. And, it might be as easy as saying, instead of, I wasn't working for 2 years and feeling really badly about this and bringing this negative energy into the interview and probably derailing ourselves throughout that whole process with that energy.
Yes.
To say, I spent 2 years caregiving. And in that time, this is what I've learned. I've built resilience. I've grown my empathy. I've developed organizational skills, managing doctor's appointments, and this is what I bring with me going forward.
I love that so much. I'm going to say that to you guys again. Did you hear what she said? It's like, if you don't reframe the shame, you are bringing the shame into your interviews. You are smaller. You are a smaller version of yourself. You are literally shying away from this powerful person that you are meant to be. And right now, we need the world to bring our most dynamic selves. We need dynamically bold individuals to help guide us forward. And so the diminished you is not doing yourself, nor actually, quite frankly, all of us any good. And so we want you to gain that power back so that you can reclaim your narrative in this story.
Yeah. And another thing I notice a lot, Lucy, when I first bring this idea of reframing narrative to my clients, sometimes they confuse that with, so I'm going to disguise anything or omit information, right?
Right.
But it's all really about being fully honest with yourself and the person across from you.
Yeah.
And that's when you show up in an authentic way. And that's what resonates, right?
Absolutely.
So when I was still a recruiter, I so appreciated when candidates sat across from me and actually had the courage to say, I got fired from this job. Yes. Yeah. But this is what I learned. And this is how it's made me better.
I love that. And we keep talking about like this rift that's happening or this pause that's happened to you. We encourage you all to do this work ahead of a pause. We never know when a pause is coming. I mean, life can throw you a curveball really fast. What's the lyric of the line? We're all one phone call away from our knees, right? I mean, and we all are going to face big moments of needing to shift and pivot. And if you can do this work ahead of it, then the pivot is actually not so, or the pause is not so scary. It actually allows you to, we do coach a lot of people in real time, like, oh my Lord, this just happened. And we've got you and you've got yourself. We also know that the smartest person on our coaching calls is you, and it's not Theresa and I, but we help guide you through it. But if you can do this work around what is important to me now, who am I? What do I want? What's my professional equity? Where am I taking my career? And I'm going to guide it forward that way. The pivot or the pause actually is just another road alongside that North Star. So, you can do it in the moment or do it before. I had one client that actually came to one of our retreats, and she was a little bit like, I don't know if I need to come. I'm not really sure. I don't know what I'm really working on, but I'm going to give it a go. 3 months later, she was given an opportunity at Nike to be debanded and to take a different role that she didn't really want, or to say no, thank you. But she already had her plan in place. She knew where she was going. And then this little moment allowed her to be like, okay, I'm actually now going to do it. What else is coming up for you, Theresa?
No, I love that. I've been saying that too, right? I think we shouldn't just come to this kind of work when everything's burning around us, right? Yeah. Can we take time and regular intervals kind of like a wellness routine, right?
Yes.
To stay on top of who we are and what we want, and be in the know, so that when little situations like gaps happen, we're not so thrown and we're more resilient and ready.
I love that. I love that so much.
Yeah.
So we're kind of been going on a little bit. We will, I guess what I kind of want to go back to what our premise here is to give you all some reframe about the pause, and really to own this new narrative, or this evolved narrative of who you are. It's not new. It's just evolved. You're more clear. As Brené Brown says, clear is kind, unclear is unkind. And a lot of times when you all come to us, you're really unkind to yourself because there's not a whole lot of clarity in the space. So we want to get clear so that you can be kind to yourself, so you can show up and not diminish your story, but to really own the gap. Yeah. Any other thoughts on that?
I'm really just thinking that anybody who's finding themselves in this gap and maybe shameful situation, right? Your gap isn't the end of your career story. It's one chapter in your book, and you're going to keep writing it. And it's probably even going to help you shape the professional you're becoming. So this doesn't erase your skills. No. Again, I think it's a reframing. It's a way to rethink what's possible. And if anything, it allows you to evolve. And that's I think a beautiful thing, right? When you really think about it.
Absolutely. We are wired this way to evolve. That is part of being human. That's why we are advanced. And you don't know this, Theresa, but I'm gonna quote Viktor Frankl here, an Austrian Viktor Frankl. But really, Frankl tells us and taught us and witnessed it as through his life as a psychologist. And it is the power to choose. You are at a moment when these pauses come, and especially the ones that are unexpected, to choose your pathway forward. How do you want to show up in this moment that defines who you are, honors your values, and allows you to progress, evolve, become even more resilient, even stronger? So the power to choose your pathway forward is what we're here for, you guys, in this moment. And we want to keep the conversation going with you. Reach out to either of us. We might be doing a few more of these to kind of share coaching wisdom, but choose to remain in your power, and don't let the riff or the illness own you. You own that, and be your biggest, baddest, brightest selves. We need you to be that. Yeah.
Well, what a quote to close on, Lucy. Thank you for being here with me today. This was
my gosh. I so am loving this new found partnership, and you're a brilliant colleague, and I'm here for it. So thanks so much, Theresa.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye, everybody. Be well. Reach out to us. We're here for you. Bye-bye.